Have you ever wondered why two people can eat almost the same food, live similar lifestyles, yet one develops high blood pressure and the other doesn't? Or why some seniors take multiple medications, but their blood pressure still refuses to stay stable? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people think high blood pressure is just a heart problem, but in reality, it's often a brain and stress problem first, and only later becomes a heart problem. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your nervous system is designed like a control center. When it senses stress, emotional stress, financial worry, loneliness, poor sleep, it doesn't just think about it. It reacts physically. It tightens blood vessels, raises heart rate, and floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, this becomes your new normal setting. Pressure is just always high. But here's the reality. The body doesn't wait for you to feel stressed. It responds to what it perceives as stress, even if your mind has normalized it. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your circulatory system like a home plumbing system. If the pressure regulator is broken, the water pipes don't just carry water, they start pushing too hard against the walls. Over time, those pipes weaken, stiffen, and lose flexibility. That's exactly what happens to your blood vessels under chronic psychological stress. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, over 1.28 billion adults worldwide live with hypertension, and nearly half don't even know it. What's more important is that research from the American Heart Association shows chronic stress significantly increases long-term blood pressure variability, which is one of the strongest predictors of cardiovascular risk. Now here's the part most people miss. My recommendation of slow, intentional walking after meals, plus 3 minutes of deep breathing before sleep. Not as exercise, but as a signal to your nervous system that the danger is over. It heals when it feels safe again. And here is the urgency you must understand. Every day your nervous system stays in overdrive is another day your arteries adapt in the wrong direction. Not next month, today. Before we go deeper, let's map out what's really happening inside the body and mind when blood pressure stays elevated, especially in older adults. Here are the 6 science-backed insights we're going to break down step by step. Chronic psychological stress silently tightens blood vessels through the sympathetic nervous system. Even when you feel fine, your thoughts directly influence hormone output, especially cortisol and adrenaline, which keep pressure artificially high. Unresolved mental loops, worry, rumination, anxiety, act like background noise in the brain that never lets the cardiovascular system relax. Breathing patterns control vascular tone. Shallow breathing keeps arteries slightly constricted all day long. Memory, fear, and emotional patterns can reprogram your baseline blood pressure set point over time. Simple daily mental shifts can lower blood pressure variability more effectively than people realize, especially when combined with calm lifestyle habits. Now here's what's important. We are not just treating blood pressure numbers. We are retraining the brain-body communication system that controls those numbers. Let's go into the first mechanism that almost nobody talks about clearly: how stress thinking becomes physical pressure inside your arteries. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time your mind enters a state of worry, even subtle background worry, your brain activates the sympathetic nervous system, the same system designed for emergencies like danger or injury. Now here's the problem. In modern life, the danger is not a tiger. It's thoughts, bills, health anxiety, family stress, news, regret, and your nervous system doesn't distinguish between real and imagined threats. So what happens next? Blood vessels tighten slightly, heart rate increases, liver releases more stored glucose, and cortisol rises to keep energy available. Over time, this becomes a pattern, but here's what's actually happening inside your body. Your nervous system is stuck in a low-grade emergency mode, where stress signals are firing constantly in the background, even without awareness. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your nervous system like a car engine stuck with the accelerator slightly pressed down. The car is not speeding out of control, but the engine is constantly revving. Over time, it overheats, wears down, and becomes inefficient. That's exactly how chronic stress raises blood pressure. Not suddenly, but silently and continuously. According to research published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, individuals with high chronic psychological stress show significantly higher resting blood pressure and increased risk of cardiovascular events over time, even when traditional risk factors are controlled. My recommendation for every checking your phone in the morning, sit for 90 seconds of slow breathing, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, and simply notice your thoughts without reacting to them. This interrupts the stress cycle before it builds. Because if your nervous system starts the day in stress mode, your arteries never truly get a break. Not next week, tomorrow. And if this is making sense so far, consider subscribing. I post daily science vascular stress naturally. Here's what most people never realize. Your blood pressure is not only controlled by your heart, it is continuously regulated by your breathing pattern and nervous system tone. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you breathe slowly and deeply, especially through the diaphragm, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and repair mode. This signals your blood vessels to relax and widen, reducing pressure naturally. But when breathing becomes shallow, which is extremely common in stressed seniors, your body stays in a mild state of emergency. The brain interprets this as something is wrong, even if nothing is wrong. Over time, this creates a baseline state of mild vascular constriction. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your blood vessels like a garden hose with a controllable nozzle. When the nozzle is fully open, water flows smoothly with low pressure. But if you slightly pinch the nozzle, even a little, pressure builds up instantly behind it. That's exactly what shallow, rapid breathing does inside your body. It keeps the nozzle partially closed all day long. What the research shows is, a study published in the Journal of Human Hypertension found that slow breathing techniques, around 6 breaths per minute, significantly reduced systolic blood pressure in hypertensive individuals within just a few weeks, without medication changes. Now here's the psychological layer most people miss. Shallow breathing is not just physical. It reflects mental state. People who constantly hold stress in their mind also unconsciously hold it in their chest. This becomes a feedback loop. Stressed thoughts, shallow breathing, higher pressure, more stress signals. My recommendation: sit upright and practice 4 seconds inhale, 6 to 8 seconds exhale for 5 minutes. Do not force it. Let the exhale become longer naturally. This retrains your nervous system to default to calm instead of tension. And here is the urgency you must understand. Every breath you take in a rushed state is reinforcing the stress pattern that keeps your arteries tight. Not someday, right now. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your blood pressure is not only reacting to what is happening in your life, it is reacting to what your mind keeps replaying about your life. In older adults especially, the brain develops what we call mental looping. Repeated thoughts about past regrets, unresolved worries, health fears, or future uncertainty. Even when you are sitting quietly, the brain is still running programs in the background. And every time that loop activates, your nervous system behaves as if the problem is happening right now. That means cortisol rises, heart rate increases slightly, blood vessels tighten slightly, and over time, this becomes your new baseline. About things sometimes. It's not constant stress. But here's what's actually happening inside your body. Your brain is not measuring time spent thinking. It is measuring emotional intensity and repetition. Even short, repeated worry loops train your nervous system into a permanent state of alertness. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your brain like a computer running too many background apps. Even when the screen looks idle, those hidden apps keep draining battery, slowing performance, and heating up the system. Mental looping does the same thing. It keeps your cardiovascular system load high all day long without you noticing. According to research published in the American Psychological Association, APA journal Psychosomatic Medicine, individuals with higher levels of rumination, repetitive negative thinking, show significantly higher resting blood pressure and increased cardiovascular reactivity to stressors compared to low one repeating worry, then next to it right, is this happening right now, or am I replaying it? This simple cognitive interruption reduces emotional looping and helps lower nervous system activation. Because every mental loop you don't interrupt is another signal telling your body, stay on alert, not next week, tomorrow. If this is valuable so far, consider subscribing. I share practical, science-based ways to retrain the body and mind for natural healing every day. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your blood pressure is not only controlled by stress in the moment, it is heavily influenced by something deeper called emotional memory patterns. This means your brain doesn't just respond to current stress, it responds to what it has learned to expect from life over decades. For many seniors especially, the nervous system has quietly adapted to years of responsibility, loss, caregiving stress, financial pressure, or chronic worry. And here's the key point most people miss. The brain can start treating high alert as the new normal. So even when life becomes calmer, the body doesn't fully downshift. Almost every patient my blood pressure will automatically go back to normal. But here's what's actually happening inside your body. Your nervous system has developed a learned baseline of tension. It is not just reacting to life, it is predicting stress based on past emotional patterns stored in the brain and body. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your nervous system like a smoke alarm that has gone off too many times in the past. Even when there is no fire, it still reacts faster, louder, and more sensitively than normal. Emotional memory makes your body overprotective, constantly ready for danger that isn't there. According to research published in The Lancet Neurology, chronic stress exposure is associated with long-term changes in brain regions like the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, areas directly involved in autonomic regulation, which influences heart rate and blood pressure stability. Once daily, practice a 2-minute safety signal reset. Sit quietly, place one hand on your chest, and slowly say, "Right now, I am safe." This may sound simple, but it retrains the brain's threat perception system over time. Because if your brain keeps expecting danger, your arteries will keep behaving like danger is present. Not next month. Today. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Most people think blood pressure is only about salt, age, or genetics. But one of the strongest drivers is something far more subtle: how your brain interprets everyday events. Two people can experience the same situation, a delay, a health symptom, a family issue, and their bodies respond completely differently. One stays relatively calm, the other enters internal tension. And that difference is not philosophical, it is biological, because your thoughts are not just ideas, they are chemical signals that direct. But here's what's actually happening inside your body. Even when you mentally dismiss stress, your subconscious nervous system may still be reacting. That hidden reaction is enough to keep blood vessels slightly constricted all day long. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your mind like a security guard at a building entrance. If the guard believes the neighborhood is dangerous, they keep the gates partially locked all day, even when no threat is present. Your thoughts act like instructions to that guard. Calm interpretation keeps the gate open. Threat-based interpretation keeps it slightly closed, raising pressure inside the system. According to research published in the Harvard Health Publishing Reports on stress physiology, perceived stress, not just actual stress events, is strongly associated with elevated blood pressure variability and increased cardiovascular strain over time. My recommendation for every pause and ask, is this a real threat or just a perceived one? This 5-second mental reset reduces unnecessary sympathetic activation. Because every time your brain mislabels a situation as danger, your cardiovascular system pays the price. Not next week. Tomorrow. Here's what's really going on inside your body. At this stage, high blood pressure is no longer just a number problem. It becomes a nervous system habit, your body repeatedly defaulting to a slightly stressed state because it has learned that pattern over time. But here's the encouraging part most people don't realize. The nervous system is not fixed. It is trainable at any age, even after 60. That means your blood vessels, heart rate, and hormonal output can still be reprogrammed through "my body just works this way now." But here's what's actually happening inside your body. Your physiology is constantly adapting to your daily environment and mental inputs. Even in older age, the autonomic nervous system retains plasticity, meaning it can shift toward calm or stress depending on repeated habits. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your nervous system like a thermostat in a house. If it's set too high for years, the house becomes used to overheating. But if you slowly adjust the setting every day, the entire system begins to stabilize at a lower, healthier temperature. That's exactly what calming routines do to blood pressure regulation. According to research published in the Journal of Hypertension, consistent lifestyle interventions such as relaxation training, walking, and controlled breathing can reduce systolic blood pressure by 5-10 millimeters on average in individuals with mild to moderate hypertension, a clinically meaningful reduction. My recommendation: for every 10 minutes of slow walking without phone distraction, midday 1 glass of water, plus 2 minutes of slow nasal breathing, evening, no screens for the last 30 minutes before sleep, plus light stretching before bed, 3 minutes of slow exhale-focused breathing, longer exhale than inhale. This combination sends repeated safety signals to your nervous system throughout the day, because if your body only receives stress signals all day, it will never learn how to relax again. Not next month. Today. Let's bring everything together clearly. Here's what we've uncovered in this breakdown. High blood pressure is not only a mechanical issue of the heart or arteries, it is deeply connected to the state of your nervous system and your patterns of thinking. When the mind stays in worry, looping thoughts, or emotional tension, the body responds exactly as if it is in danger. Blood vessels tighten, stress hormones rise, breathing becomes shallow. And over time, this becomes the body's default setting. But when the mind shifts into calm interpretation, safe breathing, and present awareness, the opposite happens. The nervous system begins to relax, and the cardiovascular system follows. Here's the key takeaway. Your body is constantly listening to your mind, not just your actions, but your thoughts, interpretations, and emotional reactions. So instead of only focusing on lowering the number, we focus on lowering the internal signal that creates the number. We covered several powerful shifts: how chronic stress silently constricts blood vessels, how breathing patterns directly influence arterial pressure, how mental looping keeps the body in a low-grade emergency state, how emotional memory can set a higher baseline blood pressure, and how simple daily calming habits can retrain the nervous system over time. Let me say this clearly. This is not about quick fixes. This is about physiological retraining, slowly teaching your body that it is safe again, and that is where real change begins. Now, here is your challenge. Do not try to implement everything at once. Instead, choose just one practice from today: the slow breathing reset, the 2-minute safety signal, or the post-meal walk, and commit to it for the next 7 days. Then observe something important. Not just your blood pressure readings, but how your body feels during the day, your energy, your calmness, your sleep quality. Because real healing is not just measured in numbers, it is felt in your nervous system. And finally, if this added clarity and value to your understanding, consider subscribing. I share daily science-based strategies that help you improve metabolic health, blood pressure, and longevity naturally, without confusion or overwhelm. Your body is not broken, it is responsive, and when you change the signals, you change the system.